All right. Kel, thank you for the sub. Starting off strong. Look at us go. Oh, man, I am blasting out the speakers. Okay, there we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Welcome to Around the Saloon, episode 6? Episode 6, yeah. I'm going to adjust myself right there. You know, I like the diamond, I don't like the diamonds. Not diamond 22, but the little diamond where my head's at. It makes it awkward for my cam. Welcome back. 31 months is a long time. Do I officially have the longest running THL sub? You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I could find it out pretty easily by looking. I'm not going to do that right now, but I can figure that out. It's a really interesting stat. I'm curious if you do. But welcome back. We one of our few back-to-back weeks. We don't do these back-to-back weeks very much because we are on a rotation, a bi-weekly rotation with our shows. But we are here nonetheless due to some scheduling stuff. We have with us tonight Mr. Marty B, returning champion. It's been a long time coming. I know he's excited. We got Ron Sexico, our reigning THL Around the Saloon participant. He's always on. He doesn't win as much, but he's always on. We have at Diamond 22. I think he dropped the 22, but I always add that on there because I used to add him, and it would I'd be like Diamond, can't find him. Oh, he has 22 at the end of his name for some stinking reason. And then we got Dr. Fish. I think this is maybe his second time on the show. Let's usually I let him off one by one, but you know what? We're here for a good time, not a long time. Let's all unmute at once. Let's just welcome everybody back. How's everybody doing tonight? Just all at once. Let's just pure chaos. Let's let it happen.
Hey. What up, everybody?
Oh.
Hello.
How's it feel? Just be let off your leashes like that.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah?
It's pretty weird though. Not used to this.
Yeah,
I talk a lot more than usual.
You know, I'm feeling less what's the word? How would you describe my attitude towards this show? Less like a tyrant tonight. We'll go like that. We'll be a little more free flowing tonight. We have less questions tonight. Little shorter in the question department. We're gonna see how tonight goes. It's gonna be fun.
Laissez-faire, Mako. Nice.
Ooh. Yeah, 0 beers in. We're gonna see how many we can get to though. Look at that stash. Yeah, that's his porn name, Ron Sexico. Yeah. You can find him on OnlyFans. I think he's running a promotion right now. Was it?
That's right. All proceeds go to THL Pride. You're welcome.
I mean, I feel like you probably would get more money on the OnlyFans than on the stream, right?
Oh, let's not go there.
Alrighty. Before we get into start ripping questions from the chat, nah, we're gonna go with the questions I prepared for them, or the topics, I should say. They don't know the questions, just the topics. What's Ron's OnlyFans link? He'll send it to you at the end. Couple
Only
of
if I
things.
win.
Only if he wins, yes. Only wins here for Ron tonight. Oh God, don't click the link. Might be real, who knows? So tonight, a couple of things before we get started with our show. First off, it's been going on all month, and I guess the last week of May. Kind of spig. But it is THL Pride Month. Well, it's Pride Month general, but we're celebrating here at THL. All of our donations and subs and merch sale profits go towards the Trevor Project, where we will be doing that big donation at the end. We've gained $151 so far this month with just donations. That does not include any subscriptions or merch sales or anything like that yet. We'll have to do those calculations when we get towards the end, but just $150 from donations, which is awesome. One other thing, or two more things before we get started. One, we have a surprise about, I would say, 2/3 of the way through the show, so make sure you stick around for that. Right between our face or trade and duel rounds, we have a little bit of a surprise. They actually don't even know what it is. I didn't say anything to them about it. And last thing, you know what I decided tonight? I'm not going to turn on the viewer points increases and decreases with channel points tonight. I decided instead, if you would like to increase or decrease points for our participants, you can donate $2 to our THL Pride campaign, and you can choose to decrease or increase any participants. Yes, we're pay to win tonight, boys and girls. We are pay to win. Yeah, that's how we're going to play tonight. I don't care. Let's get this thing rolling. Introductions are over. The smiles are gone. I'm also not limiting it tonight to only one. If you would like to donate a ton of money to our campaign, to the Trevor Project, and just, go all in for one person, I don't care. We're trying to get close to our goal. So, let's have some fun tonight. All right, let's get right into the mulligan phase. Cards have been dished out. You're looking at your hands. We're going to start with Marty B. We're going to go clockwise like we always do. And let's start with some THL questions. When I said that we're going to do it backwards tonight, I was right. I didn't lie. We're doing THL stuff at the front instead of at the end. Legacy is entering into playoffs this week, and I want to hear from our contestants. I did not get that question up there. There we go. Marty B, who is the playoffs race dark horse team? Who's going to come out of the woodwork in playoffs for Legacy?
Man, this is hard. Because Legacy was a bit closer than people want to make it out to be. There are some real nail biters. One of the things I can say for sure is the dark horse has to be in Gold Conference. Okay?
Okay.
So looking at the standings, the Red Conference was a lot easier. We saw a lot fewer points given out. That means Gold Conference was much more competitive, and it's more likely that these teams were stronger and harder to face. So probably one of the teams in Gold Conference. Looking at the records, the average straight schedule, the hardest one was Do You Even Talk? Okay, and they went 5-3. They had the hardest schedule of all playoff teams. And with that said, I think they're the dark horse. Because, yeah, they went 5-3, but look how many points they got against Hot Zilfs, or compared to Hot Zilfs. Okay, they have 126 points, tied for second, and they went 5-3, which means that they're getting double-digit losses all the time, and they're dominating their wins. And I think people are going to see, they're in third place in the Gold Conference. Maybe these guys aren't all that strong, even, only winning 5 out of the 8 games compared to a 6-2 record like Defiles Brotherhood or Hot Zilfs. I really think Do You Even Talk can pull it through and, get into the finals. Even win a championship.
Even win a championship. Wow. All right, Ron Sex, go.
Dark
I haven't
horse for
decided if I
me.
want to leave the S there or not. I was thinking about changing it back to an M, but we'll see how the night takes us.
My answers are bad. You can throw it back to the M. But for me, the dark horse has got to be a Noyo team. This is a team that had a bye week heading into playoffs and or heading into last week and was just hanging on a prayer that they made it in. And there may have been some throws by a certain Chaos Theory cursed team that helped him get there. But Nice Jewish Owl has been just such an incredible player and on an absolute tear for them all season, carrying the team. And Molstar kind of came in a little bit late and hasn't had a great season so far, but just a really, really strong player. I think the rest of the team will pick up the slack. And I mean, if you're talking about the most unheralded team, I would have to go with a Noyo team as like the biggest dark horse. They're the one that maybe shouldn't even be there right now if things had just gone a tad differently. But they didn't. They're there, and they're going to make the most of the opportunity. And I just got to say, do you even Tonk? I'm very fan of Tonk and the Tonk crew, but I have to call them out for part of why they made playoffs was Ruski got a DQ win over Clarity, which was just enough points to get them into playoffs. I mean, who knows what happens if there's not a DQ that kind of just boosts them right into playoffs. And I don't know if that's a good omen for them getting into playoffs. Whereas a Noyo team was just like, all right, boys, we sit here, we pray, it works. We did it. It worked. Let's go get them. So I'm in on a Noyo team here.
All right. Yeah, almost didn't make it. We talked about it last week, actually, if they were going to make it or not with that bye week at the end, and they barely squeaked out. Dr. Fish.
All right, my dark horse team is Bank Yugi's fan club, is Posca's squad. They are tied for the lowest number of points coming out of red with Fish. I think this team somehow has only 121 points. Their records are all very strong. They're going up against an extremely good team in Hot Zilfs this week. But I like their chances to advance and keep advancing. I think that this team is going to put it together this season. No first round exit. This team's going at least final. I mean, Magnificent has come in and put up a 2-1 record, which is really nice because the team already sitting with 2 players at 5-2. Snakefall's having a nice season. Posca's going even. When I see that, but I only see 121 points, like maybe they're not a dark horse, but I definitely like look at them and just say, dang. Like I wasn't necessarily having this team on my radar, but I look at them now and they look like an extremely strong team in playoffs.
All right. Diamonds.
Yeah, so I'm also gonna say Anoyo team's the dark horse, but I'm more gonna speak on why I think they can make it. They obviously have a hard road ahead of them because they have Dad Legend first, and as we know, Dad Legend, THL staple, and their roster extremely strong. But the thing about Anoyo team, which I think gets them there, is the fact that they have Molstar in the 1 seed now, who Molstar absolutely cracked at the game. Qualify for Master is always like in the top 50 of Legend. And Owl's having a breakout season going 6-1, and I think those two alone can help their lower seeds. Like Cherub's dead even at 3-3, he can win as well. And Zethon has in the past done very well in the 5 seed, and is one of the better 5 seeds in my opinion. So like with that, they can move on. Obviously, they have Dad Legend, and then potentially they have Zilfs or the Posca team of Bank Yugi's fan club. But I think just because they barely made it as well, like as Ron said, like by 1 point missing playoffs, obviously it sucks. But we've seen teams like this before who are barely make it in and they reach semis and they could even reach the finals and win it all. So I think for those reasons alone, because the roster is so stacked, and I think they're being overlooked.
All right. Well, as beautiful as a question this is, and as beautiful as you guys are at answering it, Legacy, I had just thought to myself, why don't we just run it back? But what about the other series that's entering playoffs? So let's just take Diamond and let's just run this shit in reverse. Let's go counterclockwise from Diamond and let's talk about Pro. Diamond, who's your playoffs dark horse team for Pro Series?
Well, I'm gonna say the dark horse
is Faction, because first of all, they barely
is
even
that
got
a,
in.
is that would you say that it is, or is it a faction?
It's a faction that they are the Dark Horse team. Because even so, my team, Parsless Chicos, we were on a bye week, and even if Faction didn't win or Foggy didn't win his match, they didn't make playoffs. They almost dropped the ball. They only need to pass us by like I don't remember, it was like 4 or 5 points, and they got the 4 points because Foggy won. And then there was a DQ or something happened in the 5, so I don't know about that. But anyways, speaking of Faction, very similar to my last point about what's it called, Anoyo team. You have Foggy, who was the savior of this team, drag them across the line, gets them into the 4th seed, and now they have to face the Wash Tappers, I believe. Which, I mean, if you can be the Wash Tappers, one of the top teams of Pink Conference, I could go somewhere, especially with Harash and Foggy have been really core members of the team. And even Mojo Powell is stepping into Pro, who I wasn't sure how he'd do, but he's 2-1 in the Pro 5C, which I think says a lot because Pro is very difficult. And I think some people still underestimate it who either haven't played or haven't paid attention, but some of the top players like on ladder, almost GM type players. So yeah, I would say Faction is definitely the Dark Horse team and has the potential to win it all.
All right. Fish. Fish is muted.
Muted. All right. So this might sound as a weird answer, but because of their matchup and the road they have to take, I'm thinking Clownstone is a bit of a dark horse. People might be writing them off against Hype Horizon because Hype Horizon's had a monster season, but Clownstone's definitely like bit of a rough patch in the middle, but they got it together at the end. And looking at it, they have Shep and Chicken who came off of For the Boys. Kayla Saloon is almost a GM. Nails, like most of these players qualify for the last Masters Tour, but they're staring at Hype Horizon, who I definitely think they have a chance against. It's gonna be tough with like the records up and down for that team and how strong like of a bounce back Ox and interface or how strong of a bounce back Ox has had this season pro. I think if Clownstone makes it past Hype Horizon, there's probably not much stopping them from making final or even winning the whole thing. They're a very strong team.
All right. Ron.
I mean, I'm gonna have to be as much of a homer as possible here and vote for my team,
Of course.
Brushy Tuna. All right, and I'm gonna have to just piggyback on Diamond's definition of a dark horse from chat, a candidate or a competitor about whom little is known, but who unexpectedly wins or succeeds, and it can't get more unexpected than a team called Brushy Tuna actually winning any games at all. So, yes, you may say that we wound up being second place in the Black Conference to make playoffs, but the teams that are ahead of us, Hype Horizon, Sheepies, Wash Tappers, even Popeye's Spiced Chicken Sandwiches, who's had like an insane run through like multiple seasons now, and Clownstone with their crazy roster. I'd say there's a solid 4 teams that are ahead of us in terms of hype or competitiveness or just recognition for who is expected to do the best. And we're just that plucky little tuna, swimming along, trying to get those wins. And I mean, have you seen the Sith Tuna logo? We are all in it for Sith Tuna merch. That's right, because if we win the title, there could be a Brushy Tuna as a Sith riding a tuna that could be purchasable gear, and that just fuels us all. It is the premier motivation you need to win titles. So don't count us out. We're coming for it.
Yeah, that's before I pass to Marty. That's a good point. Something that I think a lot of people forgot about, because it's been a while since we announced that. But whoever wins each series is gonna get their own limited run shirt on the THL store. So you could be able to purchase Brushy Tuna shirt. Who knows? Marty B.
All right. So to start with the Clownstone argument. Clownstone made semis last season, and they had a very difficult season in terms of opponent strength this season. They were in a very strong conference. So I don't think it's them. No one's sleeping on them. They know that Hype Horizon likes to bring the same decks. Ox has made it his goal to win a championship by bringing the exact same lineup every single week. Hint, hint. Keep that in mind. As for Faction, I can't see them being the dark horse. I think they fall out early because they're so far behind the rest of teams in terms of points. Okay, we're talking about 112 points for the final playoff spot. The next lowest, 128. Okay, that's an entire week-long gap. I can't see a team that missed a week's worth of points being a dark horse in the playoffs. That being said, next up would have been Popeye Spicy Chicken Sandwich or Group Process. Group Process is a bit weaker. I don't think it's them, and I don't think it's Popeye Spicy Chicken Sandwich, considering they made finals last season. So who does that leave? I'm going with what Ron said. Brushy Tuna. Okay? Brushy Tuna, they are at 136 points, but they also got a lot of points in the final week. Okay, I think 20... It was very close to 20, I think. They only lost maybe one game, I believe. Or no, they got the full 23. Sorry. They got the full 23 against F2L Scarlet. And that kind of catapulted them into the position they're in. And they're playing a very difficult team next week in Popeyes. Okay, these are the runners-up to last season's championships. But I think something's different with this Brushy Tuna team where they're going to pull through. Okay, they had the hardest, or second hardest strength of schedule in the Black Conference, and they still made second place. Okay, and that means the odds are a lot of people are going to be sleeping on them because obviously, people say Black is going to be the weaker conference, but they're still pretty comparable in terms of, average opponent strength compared to the teams in Pink, which means they can probably hang around with Pink Conference and get to the finals.
Alrighty.
Probably even get that merch.
We'll see. We'll see if they get that merch. Let's move on to Wild. We are going to talk about, we talked about this a little bit in the pre-show. If you were coincidentally here at the very, 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 very start of the stream, like the first 10 seconds, you heard Marty talking about this question, just like very slow, ever so slightly, until I told him his mic was unmuted. We're going to talk about the best 4 classes to bring into playoffs for Wild because Lil Birdie has told me that the Wild meta has been figured out for quite a little bit. So let's start ourselves off with Dr. Fish. Dr. Fish, what's the best 4 to bring to playoffs if you are a Wild player?
It's very much Mage, Paladin, Warlock, and Priest, which you can bring Odd Paladin, Dark Glare, Secret Mage. There's variants of Secret Mage between like Reno and just regular, and then Raza Priest. Those are the 4 best decks in Wild, in general. I think that, that's pretty much it. There are ways that you can deal with those lineups, but overall, it's just very, very hard to full counter all of those. Like, Dark Glare is a deck. Yeah, you can probably get it with certain matchups, but it's gonna get those turn 3. It's gonna get those turn 4 giants on you with a broomstick, and you're just gonna sit there and be like, "Dang, I lost." Like it can just get through. Raza Priest, insanely strong combo deck, and it sometimes doesn't even need the combo to win. Secret Mage, extremely strong aggro deck, and Odd Paladin has always just been very good. Pressing button good.
Press button equals good. Marty B, what are your thoughts here on what Dr. Feast just said?
Yeah, that's kind of where the meta is right now. But there's some hope. Okay, I'm not going to give too much away. But so before, when Fortune of the Barons came out, the meta was blown open, right? Because we had a thing called Aggro Tax Paladin. You guys complain about watch posts, we welcome them. Okay, we loved Far Watch Posts because you would play it in a Call to Arms package with Nerubian Weblord, and a lot of decks would struggle to do much against that because all their cards cost a bunch of extra mana. Okay, and then the Paladin would just take its time and finish you off. It was a lot of fun, and it really shifted a lot of things. Then Standard got that nerfed, so we had to adjust, and we turned to Handbuff Paladin, which also was insane. Okay, and Handbuff Paladin was strong for a while. I'm sure everyone's seen meta reports and snapshots. It's been at the top for a while. But then Blizzard decided Paladin's too strong in Standard. We're going to nerf that too. and now it's kind of dead in Wild. So we're back to a 3 Barons meta. Okay, and I believe, although a lot of people will go with what Fish was suggesting, there's some stuff that may find room in these decks that were sleeper last season that would be really good again in this meta. I'm not going to say which. If anyone wants to see, they know where my my data is. Okay. There's a very popular 5th class.
Lame.
It starts with a W.
Warrior.
Okay. And
Yeah.
it's Warlock. Yeah, the 5th class is Warlock. Always Warlock. Okay. You bring Warlock, 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 and Warlock. Point is, this class, I don't want to give away too much because I'm in playoffs, but this class had decks that could compete with these top classes in the lineup. And because of that, and the fact that they weren't really discovered and played much last season, I see them coming back if people really want to deviate. If you want to deviate more than that 5th class, though, you're going to struggle. Because I've brought even other archetypes within those top 4 classes that Fish mentioned, and they struggle. I brought LPG Mage last week, and I was dying to a bunch of aggro, and it sucks because I couldn't do anything until turn 8, turn 9 with the deck. Okay, so it doesn't work. Things like J Druid, anything in Druid is pretty much dead. Okay, the best thing you have in Druid right now is Token Druid, just like standard, but that's just a worse odd paladin. So why bring a worse version of an already good deck? Okay. If you want to bring something like Shaman, everyone's gonna laugh at you because Shaman sucks in Wild because we don't have draw. The best draw was just given to Shaman in Standard right now. And while Standard has all the tools to make him viable on ladder, you can't say the same in Wild because Elementals don't work. Okay, Elementals are a curve deck, and you can't really just rely on curving. You need a little bit more synergy than that in Wild. Okay, so we're kind of stuck figuring out what to do now. And it's tough to say if much will shift beyond that mythical 5th class.
Diamond, what are your thoughts here?
I'm glad you asked. As you know, as I call myself, I'm a Wild expert. So what I'm going to do is look at the person who's doing the best in Wild and see what they brought last week.
No, that was my strat.
Get me out, Dark
I was
Player,
literally gonna
Warlock,
say that.
Secret Mage, Odd Paladin, and Raza Machine Gun Priest. I mean,
Oh
if
my
it's
God.
the person's undefeated in Wild on the undefeated team, I think that's the best lineup. However, I'm going to add a small caveat. Against my Wild team, I occasionally let's scrim against each other, and I play standard decks. I'm undefeated with Face Hunter against my Wild team. I don't know why this is a thing, but maybe there's a meta breaker there. Mari's the Wild guy, and also Mari listed every single class, by the way, and I only listed 5.
Well, I also said
that's it.
what was bad, so.
Yeah.
All right,
Hunters.
Diamond's team's bringing Face Hunter this week, so watch out.
Yeah.
Ron?
Well, I was literally going to say exactly what Diamond said, right down to get Meowth and listing the archetypes, so that was cool. But we're gonna say that maybe there's something there. Why bring like a worse odd paladin with like druid? Well, you can't bring odd paladin twice, but maybe you could with the druid deck. But let's be real, it's Darkglare Warlock, it's Secret Mage, it's odd paladin, and it's Reno Priest. If you're doing something different, then you're probably just going to get beat by the player that is doing that. Just ban the one you're worst against and try to outscale your opponent. Maybe you'll get there. But it kind of feels like the Wild meta has mostly been solved, like Marty has been saying here, and just play the good stuff. Don't get fancy. Just try to play straight up and win. Maybe you'll get luckier than your opponent too. It's Hearthstone. Get him.
Get him.
Yep.
Go Face.
Wild is super interesting. So like, there's so much decision to be made with everything. Obviously, staying in standard, but Wild is super interesting.
I could not tell you. I don't think I've ever played a Wild game.
You
Anyways,
should try it.
Yeah,
I casted a Wild tournament one time for
literally
THL
gonna say the
without
same
having
thing, yeah.
ever played a Wild game. That was fun. All right. Let's move on to our face or trade round. As a reminder, in the face or trade round, I am going to give our contestants a statement, and they are going to tell me face if they agree with that statement or trade if they disagree, and then they are going to give me a reasoning why. So we have 3 face or trade questions. Before we move on to standard Hearthstone topics, let's finish off with our final THL series that we haven't talked about yet because BG's is over. Hero. So, Ron has not gone first. Ron Mexico, face or trade? This is the single most competitive hero season we have ever had.
Whoa. You set me up, Mako. You know I'm going face. I'm going face. I got to say face here. And here's why. Because we're like 2 weeks out of playoffs right now, and there is basically no one who has been eliminated from contention. There's even a mathematically possible scenario that either Inferno THL or F2L Black, who are at the very bottom of the standings, could make it if they ripped off like crazy point totals 2 weeks in a row. Every single other team is not just in contention, but most of them are hotly in contention for a playoff spot right now. It is top 6 series, just like it is in Wild Series right now. And out of that top 6, like we're looking at even the teams directly outside of top 6 are tied for the 6th place team. It's absurd, like the amount of competitiveness we have. We've had ties left and right in other series too. Only 2 or only 1 tie in Hero right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see even more right in the stretch run. It's just there's one team that's dominating, and that's No Pros here. They've got it locked up. Every other team is fighting for playoffs and could feasibly make it. The 2 that I think are pretty much out, though, realistically, are Inferno and F2L. Everyone else, even Tanpams, who's sitting at 114, like catch a little bit of a hot streak and they make it in the playoffs. What more do you want? What more are you looking for when you're talking about like most competitive series that you've had than a season that goes right down to the wire? Nobody's feeling bad about their season being over yet, like part way through the season. No, everyone is still fighting with everything on the line for playoffs. I love it. I gotta say, even though like the competition for other stacked competitive seasons is crazy high, this one still wins it for me.
Diamonds? Agree? Disagree? Face? Trey?
Gonna follow my fellow co-host here. Go face. Hero this is the most competitive Hero series we've ever had, and arguably, in my opinion, Hero is the most competitive series we have. It's the only series out of all the THL ones, disregarding BGs, that is the LHS format, and I think it's one of the premium outlets to play LHS Hearthstone. I know there's like Max Open Cup, that's like a tournament thing, but like this is the only place where you can play LHS and succeed, and you have the same group of players who are coming back, and it's getting more and more difficult. And you always see the same teams at the top, but even new people are coming in, they realize, oh shit, this is LHS, this is different, it's hard as well. And this season, as Ron said, like, it's close. And I will also say it's a close season because there's no 2 conferences, there's no free conference here. We're all in one conference, we're all in this together. So everyone's gunning for it. It's top 6, because apparently that's the thing now, not top 4. I also thought it was top 4, Mako, don't worry. But yeah,
whatever.
this is this is how it is.
Diamond?
Yes, sir.
Bonus point if you sing We're All in This Together from the hit TV movie High School Musical.
Yeah, let me boot up. I'll get it in sync.
No, that's a boy band. Come on.
Well,
you should know this by now. How do you not know this?
Dude, I'm together, everyone, together. Come on, let's have some fun. Together, we're there for each other every time.
That's the good shit.
Together.
Right,
come on, let's do this right. Okay, thank you.
Players hurt. Marty B.
Look at him go.
You know, I wanted to trade, but I can't. And I gotta go face. I gotta agree with the rest. Everything that I see in Hero in terms of schedule and the standings suggests it is the most competitive. Okay, we have No Pros here, who is way ahead of everyone else. But then we look at who they're playing against, and they're playing against Vote of Some Confidence and Dabs on them. Guess where they are? Not the bottom, on the bubble. Okay, they're right on the bubble, which means those guys can get pushed down if they have tough weeks against no pros here, and teams below them can hop over them and steal their playoff spots. Okay, then we look at the next two teams, Blast and Dad Legend. They have a bit of an easier schedule. They're playing against some of the weaker teams at Infernal and F2L Black. But even with that in mind, they had the hardest schedule, and look where they are, at the top of the standings. Okay, these guys are good, and they're sticking with it, and I think that says that, hey, we can compete with the best of the best, and they're not as far as, the standings make it seem. And so then we look at how close everyone is in the standings, just as, everyone has mentioned before, with the final playoff spot being determined by only 1 point and 2 people tied for the final place too.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't even think Tan Pams is out. Yeah, Infernal and F2L, they have to really pop off, like you guys said. But realistically, I can see, Murloc and Load or Tan Pams sneaking into that 6th spot, and even teams like Wherever I May Roam or Ask HS, especially with Wherever I May Roam already losing their first match of the week so far. Okay, they lost 3-1 against Dabs on them.
Yeah, thanks for pointing
they
that
can
out.
fall.
Nice. Didn't have to, but you did. Right on.
No problem. But yeah, like this is still very much in flux, and teams that look on the surface to be solidly in the playoffs, just 4th through 6th, could very easily fall out. So I can't make any predictions whatsoever on playoffs.
All right. Fish.
Man, what else is there to be said? I mean, I definitely can't go trade here. This is a face. This is such a competitive hero season. The amount of close matches I have seen between teams and we have one tie, but there's been so many more close matches. Outside of the 18 points a week that No Pros Here is putting up, there is a very large congregation of like points per week that goes from Murloc and Load up to Blast. They're all within 2 points per week of each other. It's so crazy. And yeah, obviously pointing out the schedule is remaining. A team like F2L Black, who is playing against we're playing 1337 squad this week, so a team that's on the bubble. Really, teams like Inferno and F2L Black, like they can get there with pop off weeks, but one thing they can also do is kind of play spoiler and like take away points from these teams. Like Inferno plays BLAST the last week of the season. If that team kind of just puts it all out there and gets a good week against them, the seeding could change. I wouldn't foresee Blast getting taken out of playoffs right now, especially with 2 weeks left. But it's super competitive. Everywhere from like Tampams up would be like very realistic chances, with Inferno and F12 needing at least 18 a week or even 20 a week to realistically like cement themselves with everyone else getting points.
Yeah, I was very, very, very close to removing a point when you called us BLAST, but then you course corrected and called us Blast there, and your second
Oh, okay.
go around.
Well, I mean, it
I'm
is
like, "Whew!"
technically an acronym, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it shows on the screen as an acronym. Like,
No, I know. I got you. I know. I got you. I held back. I held
All right.
back.
No, I'm sorry. I'll get it right.
Let's move on to Marty's favorite topic, and that is not just wild, but a Stealer of Souls. We talked about this last week. God, I'm hoping that's the correct name of the card because I didn't look it up. Is that
It
right?
is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whew.
you got it.
Stealer of Souls.
I was going off of like a gut feeling there earlier when I typed these out. Let's you know what? Let's start with Marty here. Face or trade, Mr. Marty B. We'll see more card bans in the future due to the recent Stealer of Souls ban. This is the first time we've seen a card banned in Hearthstone.
This is the easiest face of my life. You're just giving us freebies right now. You have to go face here. The reason why
Why?
is because, you can't really say that they won't ban cards anymore. Wild is at a ridiculous power level, and things are just going to get even more ridiculous and crazy. And we've seen with the developers that they want to take risks. And it feels like every single expansion, the last few expansions, they've broken something in Wild. Okay, and it's just going to keep happening if they want to take risks and make something new and fresh. So yeah, they're going to have to make these adjustments and ban things. Earlier on, they would just nerf cards preemptively. Okay, we saw that with Dreadsteed, and I remember there was a mech from Priest that they did it to as well, where if you took damage or if you healed, then it would deal 1 damage. They nerfed it so that it couldn't hit face and it would only hit enemies because of the lifesteal interaction. Okay, they're gonna stop these, and they're just gonna ban cards instead until they figure it out later on. Now, is it a good long-term thing? Probably not, which is why they're going to revisit this stuff and reevaluate later. But until then, yeah, taking the ban course, although it is controversial and it means that we're going to have to deal with a lot of people on Twitter asking for other bans, which I don't agree with at all. Yeah, it's just a necessary thing right now if we want a healthy meta.
Before we move on to Dr. Fish, thank you to Sharma for the $10 donation to our Trevor Project charity fund. Thank you. He didn't give any points away, so he doesn't like any of you enough. He just wanted to donate out of the kindness of his heart. We appreciate it. Dr. Fish, thoughts?
All right, man. I mean, I guess I'll go face. I'll say face because I feel like I don't feel like this will be used very often. I think that this scenario was kind of special. Was kind of very interesting where there's not a really good seeable way to have nerfed dealer, or you really have to mess with some of the core concepts of the game. As a lot of the Wild people that I have watched or have listened to like kind of speak on, it's really interesting because it works with the blood. But in terms of the actual question, I think that I think that there might be another scenario where this comes up and they'll need to use the ban. What's going on? That's making everyone.
They're taking away points from Ron while you're talking.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I think that it'll need to be used at least one other time, and that means that's will they ban any other cards, and so that would mean a face at least one more. So yeah, I think it'll happen at least one other time at least, especially if something is really broken in a specific format, but fine in another. It leaves the door open.
All right. Yeah, I feel like you definitely went the safe route there. That's good. Let's see if anyone decides.
I 100% did.
Let's see if anyone decides to go the not safe route. Before I transition this to Diamond, Dusharma wanted to change his thing to take 2 away from Ron, and then 1 away from everybody else. All right. Diamond.
Yeah, so I'm gonna join everyone else here going face. I think the ban list is a good thing, honestly, because there have been cards that were broken in Wild and not broken in Standard. Example, Hysteria. That was a card that got directly affected because how it was played in Wild. Obviously, it is like a really good card and got nerfed, but like obviously, and I actually did talk to some of my Wild teammates, like, oh, if you would add something to ban list, what would you add? And they said Dark Glare, which I think a similar type of card where it's seen some play in Standard, but in Wild it's like kind of crap. I mean, it's called Dark Glare Warlock for a reason, right? So I think that would be another card you could add to the ban list. I heard also like Baku and Gen, but I think that's that's too far. I mean, that's a whole archetype, like that's not. But I think it opens a lot of ideas as well, because when you're making a card, if it's broken in Wild, you ban it, and they said they're not like destroying it. It's gonna come back, and they'll fix it later, which I think is not a bad idea. And I think that lets designers make cards that are good in Standard, leave them out of Wild for a bit, and then reintroduce them later. And I think that's actually really smart by Hearthstone devs, so it gives them more opportunity to do stuff.
Alrighty, Ron.
All right. So we always go face and then find a way to justify it. And what better situation than this one right here? Honestly, it sets the precedent, right? They can always say that oh, we're not going to do this because this is something that we don't do. Like, this isn't a thing that Hearthstone does where we actually ban things. We want to have Wild be wide open as a format that everyone can play every card that has ever existed in the history of Hearthstone. Well, now that is no longer true. As of this, thrown that paradigm out the window, which means the door is open for the rest of Hearthstone's history for card bans to potentially happen. And it's honestly, it just be kind of crazy to say, oh, I'm going to trade on this and it's never going to happen again. I do think I have to agree a little bit with Dr. Fish here and say that it is going to be very unlikely. I think it's something that the team clearly doesn't want to do or very, very sparingly would use, because they probably were looking at it in a whole bunch of different angles for, well, how do we do this to where we can maybe fix this card and not ban it and still keep it like playable and interesting and standard where we want it to see some play, and they couldn't come up with a reason to make it work, so they had to just ban the card. And now in the future, like if they wind up printing some more problematic cards to try to make standard more exciting while also not just kind of invalidating the experience of Wild players who they clearly want to value in a lot of different ways, and show that they're not just totally ignoring the format. They're going to have this tool that they can use to do more tweaks and things that are necessary. Diamond mentioned a few things that could get banned. I don't agree that Dark Lair would be something that would be banned, but I could definitely see, probably not Gen, but Baku. Right? Odd Paladin is ridiculous. It's always going to be ridiculous. And at some point, maybe they just decide, you know what, this is a little bit too toxic right now. We don't want these crazy upgraded hero powers. What if a lot more control cards get printed and Odd Warrior becomes this incredible thing in Wild? Mako would rejoice and probably start playing Wild all of a sudden.
Oh, you
And
know
then
I would,
Blizzard,
bud.
and then Blizzard would, just to step on his dreams, take it away from him with a ban. Nah, no Baku for you. But I think it's very likely that we would see some more bans of some variety at some point in the future. It's too wide open.
I just want to say you can really tell who plays Wild here and who doesn't based on their responses.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. We have one final face or trade question. Gordon says, where are the points? What do you mean? What are you talking
Desharmo
about?
took some.
What?
Desharmo took points.
I did that earlier.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Get,
know.
get out, Mako. Get out.
Come on, Gordon.
You're on top of
Get out of my
things.
face. All right. Fish, first or last?
Um,
You want to go first or
Last.
last? This last question.
I'll go last. I'll go last.
All right. Fish is going to go last. Yeah, Gordon. I'm changing the rules while the donations trains are going on. $2 if you wanna increase or decrease a point from somebody, and I will do that for you. There is no limit. Have fun. Go Wild. No pun. We will go. Let's see. Marty won last week, so he will go first. Ron will go second because he's on the show the most. Diamond will go third. Fish will go fourth. That's just the order I made up in my head. Marty, face or trade? Hearthstone card design is heading in the right direction.
Man, this is tough because you're coming off of the Steeler ban where we're saying that banning cards is a good thing, and you never want to see a banned card. So like this feels like a trick question. I want to say face, I really do, but if we're banning stuff, then that implies trade. Okay, and I have to stay consistent. As much as I want to go face, because I love what they're doing, but if we're banning things and having to adjust, we have to trade. Okay, if they're making things that are a problem, yeah, it's not good. As we've seen, like we talked last week, how Priest was toxic, okay, and that it needs to be banned all the time, and that it causes all these problems. That's bad design when you have a class that can just be that dominant against everything else. We see with Paladin, they just got good stuff over and over, and they got banned, or they got nerfed several times, and now it's unplayable. That's bad design. Okay? We see how Shaman struggled for so long and needed card draw. Yeah, it's good now, but why do we have to wait so long? Shouldn't as many classes as possible be viable at all times? That's bad design. Okay? There's so many things. Yeah, nerfs are good for shifting the meta and changing things up. But we've also seen, they've taken risks and they've made mistakes, and sometimes, arguably they've taken too long in changing those things and fixing them. Okay? We saw with Spell Mage 2 earlier this season. Okay, Deck of Lunacy. That wasn't fun for anyone. It was basically rolling the dice and hoping you got it early so that you could high roll your way into wins. Okay? That's bad design. It's not fun for the losing player. Maybe it's fun for the winning player, but there's very little strategy to it, and that's not fun to me either, and to a lot of high-level players, I bet. So that's bad design. I can't encourage these kinds of things as much as there's things that I really like the Hearthstone design team doing. Trade.
All right. Corden, thank you for the $4 towards our THL Pride Trevor Project campaign. $4. He says +2 to my fellow Canadian Diamond. +2 has been added to Diamond's score. Let's go with Ron. Face your trade.
All right, I mean, I'm staying on brand here. Me go face. All right, but for real, here's why I think there's a good reason for it. I'm not just saying face to say face. I have to disagree with Marty a little bit, even though he brings up a lot of really good points for why. I think it speaks to the philosophy of the design team as a whole that they are so willing to step in and make as many changes as necessary. They listen to feedback from the community and they make those adjustments as need be. Oh, this is still broken. Oh, this is still, creating bad experiences. Oh, this is a card that, breaks something for a different format that we have in Wild and we need to ban it. Like, to expect them to just be perfect all the time, I think is kind of unreasonable. I think we need to give a little bit more leeway to the designers. Like, it's really hard to make a game like this and to make it really good and please everybody all at once. And if you remember from before, the previous the previous philosophy that we had, like back in the Ben Brode days. And I love Ben Brode. He was awesome, but they took a hard line. They were like, no, we don't want to change these cards at all. We're just going to stick with it. And Undertaker was broken for like forever. And now they don't do that anymore. They listen to feedback, they try to adjust things, and they've also moved a lot of things that, like, we're so early in this core set that we've gotten all these different things that are still available to us that have changed up what Hearthstone fundamentally felt like for basically the entire run. And it's moved it into, I think, a more board focused battling type game, which to me is most fun out of Hearthstone. Like, that's what I enjoy the most, and I think they're trying to head in that direction. But they're not just going to, take away all the other strategies and say you can't have them. They're still going to print cards for those, and they're starting to print disruptive cards like Mutanus as well, which is like a really interesting combo disruptor. So you have combo, you have disruptors too. Like, there's just so much that they're doing. It's so hard to do, and to expect perfection immediately, I think, is wrong-headed and kind of mean. And these designers are doing a great job, and they're doing everything they can to make it better and as quickly as they can too. And I think we really have to laud them for that. So I'm a big fan of the direction they're going, and I think they're trying to set it up for years to come.
All right, Diamonds.
Yes, so I am. You got to keep going face. And yeah, as I have to agree with a lot of the stuff Ron said. Like, the team has fundamentally, Hearthstone has shifted with the core set. We have a board focus thing. We've also just gotten rid of a lot of the what's it called, the damage burst from hand that you're able to do, and the burn. Like, Savager is gone, Bloodlust is gone. I don't know how many times you guys have had that happen to you, where like you die from that, and you're like, well, that's just the way she blows. But I think also the thing about Hearthstone is as of I'm reading a stat here from 2020. There's almost 24 million people who play this game. Not everyone's playing this game to be the #1 legend player, to have fun. Some people just log on, play standard, they have their fun. And that's what I think sometimes we forget, because we are competitively focused players. And some people just play for fun. And I think if that's what Hearthstone, they have to balance, right? It's like, okay, our top 200 players want this deck's broken. But then again, someone's just trying to play like Yogmage for Fun and Wild or something, right? They want to appease both, and it's just not. It's really hard to expect that, and I think Hearthstone's trying its best. It's definitely gone better over the years. I would say there was a period a couple of years ago where I was personally really fed up with Hearthstone, but like now I'm having a good time, and I think that says a lot because I don't play a lot personally. Like I'll play here and there, a ladder, and like I don't have that much, or I don't grind as much as like other people I talk to. But I mean, if I'm enjoying the game, I think that's because I'd say I'm more of an average player. Like I don't play a lot. I like have school. I'm busy. I think that says a lot about the Hearthstone team, where they've made an experience where almost everyone's having fun. You're always going to have your Salt Lords on Twitter. Zeddy's going to obviously spew some stuff. You know, he'll never be happy. That's just the way life goes. But I really think the Hearthstone Designs team has done a good job lately, and they are more receptive, and they're doing balance changes. So yes, I'm very happy. I'm also at 22 points, by the way. Thank you very much.
20,
Chat, you've been
you're
very
at
nice.
21. I added +5. 16 plus
Yeah.
5 is 21.
Chat
Can't
really
math.
helping Diamond that.
I know, right? You know what? I'll do this. If let's see, let's count our points. 30. We're at 59. If our contestants get 10 more points, either from talking or donations, I'll donate $69 to the fund. Dr. Fish, your turn.
Whoa.
Your last.
All right. We're gonna continue on the face train, and I think something that's been really neat about Hearthstone is since the core set came out and the release of Forged in the Barrens was almost trying to pivot some classes from what they were previously and give them either a different archetype or something else to kind of go with. We look at the switch in Demon Hunter from being a very aggro class with like the Soul DH, which not necessarily mega like fast aggro, but it was a consistent put weapon, buff weapon, hit. And now we have Demon Hunter with Death Rattles. And we have the OTK variant, which still exists in a different type of tech. And when it comes to Shaman, I guess going back to Elementals, I'm not necessarily thrilled with it, but they at least have given Shaman something like Primal Dungeoneer, which giving the nature spells and even going with spell classes was a really good idea. I think that was a really, really great design by the team. Because it allows cards like Tamsin Roan to exist, which in Wild and Dark Glare isn't fun when you see Tamsin double power overwhelming for 16 burst damage from hand. But in Standard, it's really cool because it gives Warlock that extra ability to clear things, which kind of is what the class wants to do. It allows them to fight for board. Priest, it's kind of problematic, like in some extents. But Priest has never been really a board-centric class. Maybe there have been times where it is, but generally it's a spell-based class, and they kind of have stuck to it. And I think once kind of more of the older stuff from Priest kind of rotates out, the class will feel a bit better and might even feel different. I think I like in general the philosophy they've taken with the game as well. To agree with Diamond and Ron on that, but I wanted to look at like the fact that they're kind of trying these new things with classes. And I think they've succeeded in a pretty cool way, especially like, I don't know, bringing back some archetypes that weren't necessarily great, and they're really good now in like Rush Warrior and in like, I guess hopefully Elemental Shaman will get better, but probably not unless they support it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where are we at points wise? 42,
Out of here.
52, 62. +5, 67. 2 more points. Someone donates $4 more and gives somebody 2 more points, then I'll donate.
Hey,
$69.
Turtle.
I'll
Turtle.
donate $69 right now.
Turtle.
I got this shit like it's already locked and loaded. Locked and loaded,
Turtle,
ready to
do it
go.
for the boys. For the boys, Turtle. Come on.
What if
Turtle-
we keep talking until we get points?
Nope.
Turtle just said,
Round's
"Wait, I'm
over.
not paying attention." He said, "Why'd you say my name?" Turtle, donate $4. Samako donate 69.
While we see if this happens, we have a bit of a surprise. Not for anybody on our panel, but is a bit of a surprise. So we took nominations for Hall of Fame this past off season. It took us a little longer than expected to get the Hall of Fame everything done and finalized, and voting and everything just kind of ready to go, and everything, whatnot. But we have it all finalized. We're going to be announcing. We have 5 Hall of Fame entrants for this class. Woo! Diamond told me to. Nice. Here, let me hit that button. The finalize button.
Nice.
We
Good
have
job, Turtle.
5. For this class, this current class, I'm going to be announcing 1 tonight, and then there will be 2 announced tomorrow on Hearth Center, and then there will be 2 more announced on.
Tavern Talk.
Yeah, sorry, I'm logging
Yeah,
into PayPal as I
Tavern
talk
Talk
right
was
now.
going to announce
On
something.
Tavern Talk.
okay.
I know that.
2 more on Tower Talk. So the one tonight, I have a separate screen prepped here. Sorry, you're hearing my like long, elongated thoughts because I'm doing this at the same time. There we go. Thank you, 2-Star Mako, for the $69 donation and the comment that just says nice. Before we move on to our final duel round with Ron Mexico versus Diamonds, let's see our first Hall of Fame entrance for this season's class. It is Ghost, the one, the only Ghost. Oh gosh, that is small.
What a picture.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
He's not gonna. I don't know if he knows that this is the one I picked for him. But we have a blurb written by and given to us by the man Boozosaurus. He says,
Let's go.
Ghost, without a single doubt, in my mind, has been one of, if not the most integral players on every single team he's played on. When he started out in THL, I knew he was going to kill it every time he played. From the sheer amount of prep he put in and week out every single season, there was never a chance that he wouldn't do everything he could to win every single week. Seeing him grow as a Hearthstone player both in and out of THL has truly been remarkable to see, and I'm glad he's finally getting the recognition he deserves for carrying prep every single season. Love you, Ghost, and congrats on Hall of Fame from Boozosaurus. So congratulations to Ghost, the innkeeper's worst nightmare, and Steph, his roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I know the Ghost was intentional. So congratulations. We'll have 2 more Hall of Fame announcements tomorrow, and then we will have timeout. Don't they? Thank you for the subscription.
Is that a longer streak than Cal's?
It is
I don't
longer
know,
than
it's-
Kel's.
Don't they doesn't say it is a streak, but I would assume it is.
Yeah, it says 34 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
Get wrecked.
Kel. Get wrecked, Kel.
Dang.
Forgot to transition us back. All right. So, I paused there for a second because I was like, the dollar sign looked like a 5 on our donation bar, and I was like, did I just fuck up my PayPal and donate like a few $1,000s on accident? Like, what just happened? But okay, it's a dollar sign. It's not a 5. My anxiety can lower.
$569. Let's go.
Freaked out for a
Mako.
second.
We're almost
Oh
there.
my god. Okay, we have 1 more round left. We have 2 more questions. Diamond and Ron are going to be in the finals. Marty B and Fish, we'll talk to you here in a couple of minutes, but just 2 more questions left. We have a couple of open-ended questions for the 2 of them. Some thought-provoking questions. We're going to turn this into a bit of a conversation instead of our usual I give you points, you give me points methods of doing things. So the very first question that we are going to be talking about tonight is about the Grandmaster's system. So my question, as I'm typing this out, Grandmaster's system. boom. Oh crap. Is I know the suspense is killing you. Look at this professionalism. All right, we're gonna start with Ron, then we're gonna move to Diamond since Ron was in the lead. Ron, first up off the bat, should Hearthstone abandon the Grandmasters system?
Ooh. Abandon is a strong word.
That's why I used it.
I don't think we should go that far. I will say that it is very flawed right now, and it is something that has a hard time rewarding the amount of consistency that you like to see in your competitive levels of gaming. Um, I think it's really cool that they have grandmasters and they have something for all of the top players to really aspire to, and I think they should keep something at least close to the current iteration of grandmasters. But I think it needs to be overhauled a little bit. I think what we need to do is start, either switch up a little bit from the point system or just give more points to players who are, not getting that full 7-2 mark, like 6-3, and not getting any points to make it into the system does not feel good at all. I think relegation is good. I like how they do that to where there's some incentive to play and like actually make it worthwhile for people to follow and pay attention to. Like one of the most recent examples was Tyler, who did really well right in Asia Pacific for a little while, and then he just got super excited about Battlegrounds and he stopped playing Standard completely. And it's like this running joke among all the APAC GMs that like, yeah, Tyler doesn't give a shit. Like he's not caring at all. He'll steal his lineup from somebody like barely before he plays, and he'll autopilot the games, and then he'll go back to streaming Battlegrounds. Like that's why there's relegation for players like that clearly don't really care about it. But there's others that show like how much they're invested into it and how interested they are in the game, and I think that brings viewership. I think it brings enthusiasm, and if they handled it a little bit better for either rewarding the players for getting in and the players who are in it, like kind of making the reward system a little bit more balanced too. We saw recently, right? What was it? I don't know how to say the guy. X Blizes, whatever it is. He like freaked out that he lost a super important match because there was a lot of money on the line and things went poorly for him. He lost it and he just like Alt F4 and just like got out of there. And that's a shitty experience for everyone involved, but you get it because of how much he had invested into it. If they broke things up a little bit so the reward system was a little bit better, more spaced out, so it wasn't just like crazy top heavy for this one big thing, then I don't think we'd see that kind of overreactions from players. So, if they could tweak the system, then we're in good shape. So if I can interpret the question to be abandon the system as it currently is, I would say yes. But abandon in general, I would say no.
Alrighty. Diamonds.
Yeah, so I think GM as a system is very flawed, but I think there is an idea there, and you can still go for it, as Ron said. I think one of the first things I hope they will change is get off of YouTube, go to Twitch. YouTube chat is the worst. I've never seen something more toxic in my life, and I've met toxic people on Discord. Like, holy shit! Like, I'm telling you, it's get me out of there. Anyways, as well, my favorite part about Hearthstone is the play, but it's also seeing people's faces when they play, and that's why I like GMs because I get to see someone's face when they top deck or something happens, and also just being able to follow players as they enter GM and go along. Like, Fled's journey into GM was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen, where his opponent played in Biggin, then played Guardian Animals, nothing happened, then conceded, and Fled became a GM after this domino effect. Same thing with last Masters Tour. Like, Gabby, I think alone brought the viewership of the Masters Tour to astronomical levels. Everyone was like, go Gabby, go, go Gabby, go. And Gabby finally made it, and he made GM. And I think that part of Hearthstone is something that's been missing. Like cheering for people, seeing their journey, even for us in THL, like watching fellow participants who are almost GM, like Kale Saloon was a GM, McBannerface, Darter Binks, like people we know and talk to are progressing in the system, and that's really cool to see. Obviously, if maybe they can bring back like DreamHack type stuff, those are really cool to see, the winters and summer. But I think GM as a system and just seeing people progress is really interesting. And it's also a really nice place to net deck lineups from too. And I think people forget about that.
Good point.
Oh yeah, and bring back interviews for
Yes.
players after they win. That is so much fun. They're so spooked after Blitzchung, right?
Mhm.
That's why they're not doing it.
They started doing some. Like I know Frenetic, like his esports team did one. I think Nalgadon got one with TJ, if I remember correctly. So that I really do like the interview part. Obviously, especially with like stuff like Tespa too, like there have been situations where they kind of ruin it for everyone else, but and I understand that worry. But yeah, interviews, I think just getting to know the Hearthstone players. You want to like they're people, get to know them as people, not just card people. They're real. Get to know them.
Not just card slingers. We have one final question. Diamond, you will get the opportunity to go first. We're gonna go back to the Stealer of Souls question. Marty B is not happy that we're gonna talk about it again. He probably wants to keep talking about it. But this is actually something that was brought up in chat earlier, and I held my tongue because I knew we were gonna talk about it again. Specifically, and oh, I already had it ready. Never mind. I don't have to paste it. Specifically, Diamonds was banning Stealer of Souls the right call. We talked about earlier if we would see Blizzard continue to ban cards, and a lot of you said maybe in the future. But I want to know from you if this was the right call to make.
Yes, it was the right call to make because I don't want to see more cards get axed completely and just not see play at all, or like not. I think that's the worst part. Obviously, Wild doesn't get the card. I mean more of like you nerf a card to oblivion. And I do like the wording of the Blizzard thing where I saw the ban and I was like, "Is that it?" And then I read further. Re-implement it to Wild when it rotates and like nerf it accordingly, which I think is the right move. Like obviously there's a broken card now, you want to fix it, can't really fix it right now, so you're just gonna let it kind of go. And I obviously don't play Wild. I don't know like how much it really dumpsters the meta. That's on me, I guess, for not knowing the card. But I have seen like ridiculous turns where like you just play Mal'Ganis or you play the Violet Illusionist and you just play Plot Twist, you draw everything. And it's like I just think that's an unfair experience to play against, and that shouldn't be in the game. Like unattractive stuff. Like I mean, we've had Turtle Mage in the past, right? Like that was an under I got. Yeah. Oh, Rodney, I remember the DM for Rod. Diamond Turtle Mage is the worst Supers deck ever, and I'm like, but Eddie's winning with it. Rod, is it not cool? No, it's stupid. Okay, Rod. I don't like seeing people I talk to not have a good time in game. So I think that's why, from that aspect, I think the ban is fine. And it does open if there are problematic cards to go in the ban chamber, but I don't think it's gonna happen a lot. Like we'll see, obviously, but that's my take on it. I know it doesn't sound that good, but I feel like we already talked about this previously. And I don't know what else to really add on because I don't play Wild.
We didn't really talk about this specifically, but Ron.
I have to agree. I think it's the right call, and I don't think it's exactly just like the right call only in the context of Stealer of Souls itself being banned. It was just something they identified as being problematic and could create issues in another format that isn't their pet format that flocks into in standard. There's other elements of the game that need to be respected as well, and that's what they did. And also, I really want to comment on what chat is saying with Corridon here, saying no, community will just complain about cards and ask for them to be banned. They've now opened the waygate for the ban, and that is the exact reason why I think it was a good decision that they have opened the waygate for the bans to come in. I think it's something that needs to be available to them. They've created the precedent. So, Stealer of Souls itself, not necessarily like the worst, most problematic card we've ever seen for Wild, but they chose this moment to create a precedent to do something that enables them to have more flexibility for adjustments in the future. And I honestly think it's just another step in the natural evolution of a card game like Hearthstone. We're kind of imitating Magic in a lot of different ways. Magic had like the rotating sets, and Magic has banned cards in certain formats. And I think that's just how card games have to eventually develop in order to remain healthy. When they try to like test things beforehand, like people complain, oh, they should just test it better. But how many millions of people play on this server? How many millions of people are just jamming cards over and over and trying to figure out all different angles and how to break the game? I don't think it's fair to expect that the design team is going to catch every single thing that comes up. So now they just have an extra tool in their back pocket that they can use. It says, okay, this thing is getting out of control. This thing is ruining, an experience for a segment. Even if it's not the main segment, it's another segment. Maybe we might ban something that, like, would you really change the card text of a card that you included in Battlegrounds, but also have it in Standard? They already kind of just take things out of Battlegrounds too. I think that might even be a thing that they do eventually in Standard, where they say, hey, this card that is Standard legal, guess what? It's actually not until we fix some things. And it doesn't have to be a perma ban. It's just like it opens the door for temporary bans too. So I think it's a good extra method that they have to make the game as healthy as possible and make it a good experience for everybody.
Alrighty. Well, with that being our final question, we are now in lethal. Congratulations, Ron.
Hey, whoa,
Face.
hold up. This didn't go according to script. I was supposed to get second.
It did not go
Rod,
according to
Rod
script.
winning? What?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
pay to win. It's
Good
pay
job,
to
Ron.
pay to win tonight here at Around the Saloon.
Hey.
And it will be again in 2 weeks. Anyways, congratulations, Ron. You have your lethal. You have the floor if you would like to say anything to the crowd.
Sweet. So, it looks like we are just barely off of hitting $300 right now, which is a really cool benchmark to hit for our donation goal right now. All it takes is an extra $28 of what? 22 cents? Oh my god, that's amazing. If anybody out there could find it in their heart and in their wallet to get us to that last point over the top, get to that 300 mark to close out the stream. Oh, it would just be the
Wait.
most perfect
I got you.
ending.
Right, Ron, you know my 2222 as a company. I sent you the screenshot.
I know.
I know.
I'm just gonna say I feel called out by Donde right now because I haven't gotten a haircut since like January.
I think
Nice.
I don't think he was attacking. I think he actually liked your hair.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Him
just
and
I'm
Jammers are good buds.
If he compared it
That's
to
a-
the
that's a
Jamie's mustache of hair, then I think that's high praise because he talks about that mustache quite often. I feel.
Hey, I'm right there with you, Marty. I also haven't gotten a haircut since January. It's
Yeah, I
just
feel
What
that.
year, Ron? Of what
January
year?
2019.
Oh, okay.
thank you, Donde.
Turtle has been coming in hot tonight.
Oh, let's go,
Big
Turtle.
Turtle.
Oh my god, you'd love
Wow.
to see it.
Can
coming
we
in hot. Where that
turtle
puts us
more
at
like whale?
that puts us at $300 for
All right,
for
Turtle.
Turtle Profit.
Turtle is the real MVP of the night. I would like to
Yeah.
officially give my saloon crown to Turtle. If Turtle would like to appear on the next Around the Saloon in my place, I 100% support it.
Oh man, thank you, Turtle. Much appreciated.
22
And the
cents.
22 cents, Diamond
Yep.
22 cents coming in hot. Before we head out, a couple of things. Oh, Owl, don't come out his throat. He's been donating. What the hell?
Turtle is making good juju. He's put all this money in, so now he's gonna win THL. That's it. That's his goal. I like that, Turtle.
Don't you
Dusharma,
know,
I'm
Owl
aware I
has
haven't fixed
rebranded
the
to Mean
crown.
Jewish Owl.
True.
I'm aware of the
yeah,
crown.
that's true.
I feel like I think the crown's just gonna stay Dorito crown for the end of time. Um,
I
He's
love it.
going.
before we head out, remember that all proceeds from your subscriptions, from clearly your donations, that's an obvious one, and your profits, our profits from the merch store, especially including the THO Pride Pride collection that we have on the merch store that goes away at the end of June. By the way, if you are looking to get anything from the THL Pride collection, it is going to disappear forever at the end of June. They won't be there. Next June, I will be making different stuff. This stuff will not be there anymore. So if you would like to get any of it and have the proceeds go to our THL Pride Trevor Project Fund, then I would do so before the end of June. I need to purchase all of my stuff because I plan on buying a fanny pack. I need a fanny pack. I don't own one. Anyways, that's besides the point. All of that money goes towards Trevor Project. We appreciate it. Please donate. It's a great cause. Great cause. Couple of things. What else? Tomorrow, Hearth Center. 2 more Hall of Fame announcements. So please come check in Hearth Center tomorrow and check those out. And then Wednesday, we have our final 2 Hall of Fame announcements for this THL Hall of Fame class. So check those out on Wednesday on Tavern Talk, both starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, same time as Around the Saloon. One final beat next Sunday. This Sunday, the 20th, we are going to be having our THL 2021 Pride Battlegrounds tournament. If you would like to come watch that, it starts at Sunday at 1 p.m. We will have 32 Battlegrounds players vying for cash prizes. The beer took over. So please come Sunday, check that out. Donate again, then perfect time. Everyone's going to be watching. Let people like to see their names on screen. We have some pretty intense players. Former Magic the Gathering professional player Terry Sang is playing in the tournament, which is exciting. We have an automated spreadsheet for the tournament now. Maybe coming to a Battleground series near you, we hope. But besides that, we will talk to you in 2 weeks on June 28th. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great 2 weeks. And wave goodbye, everybody.
Have a good
Bye.
night.